267-495-4866. That's my voicemail line. Or you can email me at dougcarnsprogram@gmail.com. I am Doug Karns on the Doug Karns program here on All Noise Radio. All right, welcome to the last segment. We're just finishing up with the debate, with the Republican primary debate. And the reason I'm going through this is because besides Michelle Bachmann and Rick Santorum, all these other guys are the same. They're all, and maybe Ron Paul. I mean, Ron Paul is a libertarian and he doesn't believe in big government. But all these guys are big government, progressives, just like the people in the Democratic Party, like Barack Obama and Debbie Wasserman Schultz and all of them. So we need to find the person that's the opposite of these guys. We really do. Like I said, look at Harding and Coolidge. They gave us the Roaring 20s, and because they weren't big government guys. They lowered spending and they lowered taxes and gave us a great economy until Hoover raised taxes and crashed it, which we need to thank them for. We thank you so much. So, anyways, the reason we're going through this because there really wasn't that many good answers in this debate. There really wasn't, and it gets hopeless at times because you're looking for that perfect candidate to kind of bring us back from the brink and take us off this highway of spending ourselves into oblivion and driving this car that we call the United States off a cliff. So we'll finish up here with the debate, and then we're going to talk about this new jobs bill, and then we got to play this audio of this drunken Ron Paul supporter because it's some of the funniest audio I've ever heard. So let's finish up with the Rick Perry and Michelle Bachmann exchange over the HPV executive order Rick Perry signed back a couple years ago.
Of Obamacare, and I won't rest until it's repealed.
Governor Perry respond. Was what you signed into law, that vaccine for 11 and 12-year-old girls, was that, as some of your critics have suggested, a mandate?
No, sir, it wasn't. It was very clear. It had an opt-out. And at the end of the day, this was about trying to stop a cancer and giving the parental option to opt out of that. And at the end of the day, you may criticize me about the way that I went about it. But at the end of the day, I am always going to err on the side of life. And that's what this was really all about for me.
Senator Santorum, go ahead.
Can I add to that, Wolf? Hold on
one second. First Congresswoman Bachmann, then Senator Santorum.
I just wanted to add that we cannot forget that in the midst of this executive order, there was a big drug company that made millions of dollars because of this mandate. We can't deny that.
What are you suggesting?
What I'm saying is that it's wrong for a drug company because the governor's former chief of staff was the chief lobbyist for this drug company. The drug company gave...
All right, so here we go. His former chief of staff started working for Merck, who created this vaccination. So what does that say about Rick Perry? That he's handing out special favors to friends? We don't want any part of that because that's what we've been having in Washington for 40 to 50 years now. The special interests and lobbyists that destroy our republic. All right, so let's end it on that because, like I said, I didn't see much that I liked from that debate. And Rick Perry had my vote as of last week, but not anymore. He's too wish-washy, and he's too big government for me. We'll have to see what comes from the coming months here, from the Republican primaries. All right, so let's move on to this new jobs bill, $500 billion jobs bill proposed by our great president, Barack Obama, which, listen, they renamed it to a jobs bill, okay? We've had so many stimuluses from George Bush to now that it just does not work. We're still at 9.1% unemployment, and it's not going anywhere. And the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, said we're going to see that number until the end of next year. So what do we do? We shouldn't pass this jobs bill. Like, this is half the amount than the last jobs bill, the stimulus, in 2009. And do you think it's going to work? If the first one didn't work and it was twice as much money, how is this one going to work? Obama's proposal calls for cutting payroll taxes from the current 4.2% to 3.1% for workers, and from 6.2% to 3.1% for businesses, which is all great. But you got to realize where this money's coming from now. Since they're taking in less money, they got to bring in more money. And in this bill, he's going to be taxing everybody, from the poor to the rich. Your taxes are going to go up next year because of this. So how is this going to help? How is this going to help? He is proposing spending $105 billion on public works projects. Again, how does this create jobs? Like, it creates a job for 2 years, and then these jobs dry up. If we had a self-sufficient economy where it was growing, more houses would need to be built. More businesses would need to be built. So then, public works could expand on that with building new sewer systems and everything in new neighborhoods, and the construction companies would have new houses to build, all because the economy is growing, but the economy is shrinking. So these jobs aren't going to last that long that we pass in Congress. They do not last long. I mean, you're looking at these construction jobs that just got passed in 2009 are starting to end at the end of this year. And there's nothing for them to do after this because the economy is not good. So I also want to play this clip from Debbie Wasserman Schultz, which I played. If you remember her last week, she seems to be making herself more known as each week goes on. But Martha McCallum from Fox News grills her on how the last stimulus didn't work, and she, with no facts at all, says that pensions aren't bringing down the government and the stimuluses are working. Then why do we need more? So let me play this clip.
Plan to Congress today, but the question is, will it be enough for everybody, and will it be enough for Democrats? Because there's been some disgruntlement in the Democratic ranks that was outlined in the New York Times over the weekend. So we want to bring in our guest today. Very glad to have with us the chairwoman of the Democratic National Committee, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Good morning, Congresswoman. Good to have you.
Good morning, Martha. Good to be with you.
All right, so let's talk about this jobs bill first, and then we'll get to the Democrat issue in terms of the re-election. The big question this morning, $447 billion in this new stimulus plan to try to get the economy going. Where's the money going to come from?
Well, the other night, when President Obama laid out his American Jobs Act proposal to the nation before a joint session of Congress, I really thought he knocked it out of the park. This is a plan that will give an immediate shot in the arm, and we're certainly hopeful that Congress will take it.
The last one gave us a shot in the arm, and that's all it did, because that shot wore off after time. So how does that help us? How does all this government spending help us?
Up immediately. We need to make sure that the infrastructure investment that is laid out in this plan.
I'm tired of this infrastructure argument. It does not help us. How does a new road help the economy grow? It does not. It doesn't do anything besides give us a nice paved road. Or how about a new bridge? How does that help the economy? It doesn't. It doesn't at all. So funding these infrastructure projects does nothing. It does not help one bit, and we keep passing it year after year, year after year, and it's wasting money, wasting our tax-paying money.
That the tax cuts, particularly the payroll tax cut, middle class and tax cuts for small businesses, those are the kinds of things that will get resources into the hands of regular folks who then will spend that money and put it right into the economy.
Right.
And the way
understood.
It will be paid
for. Theoretically, that's the way it should work. What I'm getting here, we'll put aside for a moment how it's going to get paid for, because I do want to get back to that. But let's talk about what it's going to do, which is what you started to address. $130 billion in aid to state and local governments. That would go to, holding on to police officer jobs, teacher jobs, and also would start to head into some of this infrastructure stuff. It's being called by one person a temporary patch for budget holes that are likely to remain long after the federal money runs out. The concern is that if you don't restructure...
All right, just to touch on this real quick with the teachers and the police and everything, we need to keep these jobs, but the way you keep them is you have a self-sufficient economy that pays taxes. Keep giving, federal government keep giving these local and state revenue, keep handing out this money to them. It does no good if the economy is not growing and self-sufficiently funding these teachers and policemen. And giving this money does nothing to the economy. It just saves those jobs that puts nothing into the economy. Yes, we need to be safe with the policemen. Yes, we need education. But ask yourself this. What does those two jobs do for the economy? Nothing. They don't put anything into the economy besides the policemen spending money, their payroll on groceries and all that stuff. But that doesn't help the economy. You need businesses to grow. That's what helps a economy.
Structure some of these pension agreements that the police and teachers and all of these groups have. What you're doing is throwing some money at the problem to sort of keep them in their jobs short term, and you're not really changing the underlying structure of these budget agreements and pension agreements, and that long term it doesn't have the desired effect.
Martha, to suggest that that state pension plans and pension deals for government employees are what's dragging down the state and local governments is really unfair. At the end of the day, we have to make sure that our schools have good teachers, that we can make sure that we keep security at the level that we need it by not laying off police officers and making sure that firefighters are able to be the first responders that we need them in communities.
No, listen, we absolutely need those people to do those jobs effectively. You're absolutely right on that count. But to suggest that the pensions are not dragging down state budgets is absolutely incorrect. I mean, absolutely, pensions are dragging down state budgets across this country.
The blame, Martha, I beg to differ.
Well, you can differ, but
pensions. Well, I know we could differ. We probably should kick around some facts rather than just he said, she said. At the end of the day, we have to make sure that we don't continue to deepen our problem by laying off more teachers, firefighters, and police officers.
All right, first of all, kick around some facts, then you throw some facts back at her. To say that we need to kick some facts around, and then you just come back, oh, we need to make sure we do this and do that. That doesn't help. And look at Governor Christie and Governor Walker and Governor Brown in California. They're all saying that these pensions are out of control and they're driving states become bankrupt. So I'm sorry, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, you're wrong. And to lie like that is ridiculous. All right, I want to spend more time on this, but we got to stop because I got to play this drunk Ron Paul fan because it is hilarious. It was on the National Geographic show Frontier Force. So let me play it because you got to hear it, and we'll break for the week. So let me play this.
Read your Constitution.
Okay. All right. Yeah, man. Are you going to take the preliminary breath test?
No.
Are you going to do any other tests I ask you to do?
The Constitution is your right. Don't go abiding.
I'm going to give you one last chance. This is your last chance. Are you going to take the breath test?
Constitution. You guys took this. You guys took this vote.
Okay.
Why can't you guys just assume to me that this is my Constitution, right?
This is your last chance. Are you going to do any more tests I ask you to do? And you're not going to take the breath test right now, right?
I will.
You'll take the preliminary breath test?
Yes.
Okay. Then you can stay up with this deputy real quick. I'll bring the little portable breath tester over, and we'll do it. Okay? Just stand right here.
Their patience appears to have paid off.
What's the First Amendment? What's the First Amendment?
Stand right where you're at, okay?
What's the First Amendment? You don't even know!
You don't even know, man.
Ah!
All right, I got to fast forward this because we're up against the end of the show. But this is funny. You got to hear this at the end.
Naturally combative, maybe, and those people may not change so much, but the ones that... Here we go again.
Ron Paul 2012. Oh, man, that's so great. All right, we'll see you next week on All Noise Radio.